It was a quiet Sunday morning, the kind where the light filters gently through stained glass windows, where children fidget in their seats, and old hymns echo off wooden pews. And then he walked in. The moment the heavy church doors creaked open, half the congregation turned, and you could feel it. The pause, the whispers, the judgment. His coat was ripped, hair tangled, face weathered with grime and fatigue. People shifted uncomfortably. A mother pulled her daughter closer. An elderly man muttered under his breath. No one said it out loud, but they didn't need to. He didn't belong there, and yet, within 5 minutes the pastor would stop mid-sermon, step off the pulpit, and do something that no one in that church would ever forget. But to understand why, we need to go back to the night it all fell apart. His name was James. Just James, at least that's what he told people. Before life unraveled, James had a job in construction. A small crew, honest work. He liked the rhythm of it. Pouring concrete, framing beams, a cigarette at lunch. He had a dog once, a rusted red pickup, a girlfriend named Elise. And then, as life sometimes does, everything unraveled. First the layoff, then the rent. Then Elise, packing boxes in the dark, saying, "I just can't anymore." And like that, James became someone people stepped over. Months blurred together. Soup kitchens, park benches, the sound of rain against plastic tarps. Kindness came in glances, never in touch. Until one Sunday morning, something pulled him to that church. He didn't know why. He just knew. He needed warmth, a place to sit, a moment where he wasn't invisible. He never expected what came next. The church was old, brick walls, narrow windows, and a steeple that leaned like it carried too many prayers. James hesitated at the steps. He looked down at his shoes. Split soles, duct-taped seams. Inside, the choir was singing. He pushed the door. Heads turned. Some eyes widened. Others narrowed. James walked slowly, choosing a pew near the back. No one moved to greet him. No one offered a smile. Instead, the air shifted, thick with discomfort. 2 teenage boys whispered behind bulletins. A man 3 rows up coughed loudly and glanced back with disapproval, but James kept his eyes down. He didn't want to make waves. He just wanted to sit and maybe remember what it felt like to be human. And that's when the pastor stopped speaking. Mid-sentence, right in the middle of preaching about grace, the pastor paused. A beat, then another. He looked past the rows of polished families, the well-dressed choir, the silver-haired elders, and locked eyes with James. What he did next made the room go completely still. The pastor, a tall man named Robert with a booming voice and soft eyes, stepped down from the pulpit. His footsteps echoed louder than any sermon. No one knew what was happening. Murmurs rippled like wind through wheat. He walked past the pews, past the deacons, past the woman who always brought homemade banana bread, and he stopped, right in front of James. The church held its breath. Then he knelt and hugged him tightly, like they'd known each other for years, like James was someone who mattered. The silence broke like glass. A woman gasped, a man dropped his Bible, a child asked her mom, "Why's he hugging the dirty man?" James didn't move. He froze, stiff as wood. You could see it. He hadn't been touched in months. But then, he wept. No sound, just tears. Slow, heavy, cleansing. And the pastor, he whispered, something only James could hear. Later, some would ask, what did Pastor Robert say to him? And no one would know, except James. And maybe that's what changed everything. After the service, something shifted in that little church. A young woman brought James a hot cup of coffee. An older man offered him a ride to a nearby shelter. A boy, shyly handed him a granola bar from his pocket. It wasn't charity. It wasn't pity. It was the beginning of something rare, a crack in the wall that separates us from them. Over the next few weeks, James came back. At first, he sat in the back, quiet, still. Then one Sunday, he brought donuts to share. Another week, he helped stack chairs after service. And slowly, the whispers faded. They were replaced with handshakes, with nods, with names. James. Not the homeless guy. Not the dirty man. Just James. And then one spring morning, 6 months after that first hug, James showed up wearing a clean button-up shirt. His beard was trimmed, his eyes brighter, and beside him, a golden retriever named Tank. People asked where he'd been. He said a local shelter helped him find work. He was doing drywall again, slowly saving, living at a halfway house, trying. But what stuck with him, what played over and over in his head, wasn't the job. It was the hug. He once said to the pastor, "You made me feel like I wasn't garbage. That was the first time I remembered I used to be somebody." And Pastor Robert? He just smiled. Because what he had whispered that morning, when the whole church stared in silence, was this: "You belong here, and I see you." Not every story ends with a perfect bow. James still struggles. Some days are harder than others. But the next time someone unexpected walks through those church doors, people don't flinch. They scoot over, make room, smile. Because one hug can rewrite a story. One act of courage can awaken an entire room full of sleeping hearts. If this story touched you, even just a little, leave a comment below. Tell us, what would you do if someone like James walked into your life today? And if you believe the world needs more stories like this, stories of kindness, courage, and the quiet power of one person to make a difference, subscribe to our channel. Because sometimes, all it takes is one moment to remind someone that they still matter. This is Relieved Stories US, real people, real moments, real heart. We'll see you in the next story.